Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out 6 American sitcoms you forgot were based on British TV shows.
Remember when American TV executives looked across the Atlantic and thought, we'll take that, but with more pratfalls, less subtlety, and a laugh track you can hear from space? Well, after our recent videos, you've been asking us to dig deeper into these British to American TV adaptations, and honestly, we couldn't resist. Sometimes the shows worked so well, we forgot the Brits did it first. Other times, well, it was like microwaving fish. It was technically possible, but guaranteed to stink up the place. Today, we're hopping the pond to look at 6 American TV shows. Some hits and some flops that started life in the UK. From slapstick roommates to seaside hotel disasters, they were proof that importing TV is a gamble and not every bet pays off. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and share this with someone who'd love these behind-the-scenes stories.
Y'all be sure to go to Remember When and like and subscribe. Subscribe, like. I did it.
It helps us bring more retro deep dives to people like you. So let's get into the countdown with number 6, Three's Company, based on Man About the House.
Really?
ABC.
Come and knock on our door. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you.
Some remakes are so successful, they completely overshadow the original. For most Americans, Three's Company feels like a wholly homegrown idea, but it actually started across the pond as Man About the House. Man About the House premiered on ITV on August 15, 1973, and ran until April 7th of 1976. 6 series, 39 episodes, plus a short Christmas special. At the time, the premise was just saucy enough to raise eyebrows. 2 single women, Chrissy and Joe, sharing a London flat, decide to take in a male roommate, Robin Tripp, after finding him passed out in their bathtub following a going-away party for their old flatmate. Robin, played by Richard O'Sullivan, was a culinary student, and that was the hook for the girls. They couldn't cook to save their lives, and Robin could whip up a full dinner without breaking a sweat.
That's clever. That's clever. I used to watch Three's Company, and I loved Don Knotts as a kid, but I don't remember why they kept... Was his name Jack? John Ritter? I don't remember why they kept him.
Well, landlord George Roper, played by Brian Murphy, wasn't about to let an unmarried man move in with 2 single women, so Chrissy blurted out he's gay. Cue the farce. George's wife, Mildred, played by Eutha Joyce, figured out the truth almost immediately and became a recurring flirtation hazard for Robin, mostly to get under George's skin. That landlord couple became so popular, they spun off into their own hit, George and Mildred, while Robin eventually got Robin's Nest, a spin-off about him running a bistro. Sound familiar? The humor in Man About the House was sharp, cheeky, and driven by innuendo. It was very British, with a knowing wink rather than a pratfall. It was a big enough hit to land a 1974 feature film, and its frankness about co-ed living arrangements felt a little daring for early 70s Britain. Then American producers got their hands on it. Three's Company debuted on ABC on March 15th of 1987 and ran until September 18th, 1984.
March 15th of 1980. No, he meant... It must be 77, right? Yeah. March 15th of 1977 and ran until September 18th, 1984.
March 15th of 1987 and ran until September 18th, 1984. 8 seasons, 172 episodes, and 2 spin-offs of its own. The Ropers, which gave Stanley and Helen...
The Man About the House had 39 episodes, and this had how many?
172 episodes and 2 spin-offs of its own. The Ropers, which gave Stanley and Helen their own show, and Three's a Crown, based on Robin's Nest. The setup stayed the same. Jack Tripper, played by John Ritter, moved in with Janet Wood, played by Joyce DeWitt, and Chrissy Snow, played by Suzanne Summers, after their old roommate moved out. Landlord Stanley Roper, played by Norman Fell, won't approve of the arrangement unless Jack was gay.
I thought Don Knotts was the guy.
Hi, kids. I suppose you're wondering why I'm all spiffed up.
A lie Jack played along with for years, especially since Mrs. Roper, played by Audra Lindley, was in on the secret. But where the British original was built on sly verbal comedy, the US version leaned hard into physical humor. John Ritter's pratfalls were legendary. He could trip over a couch, vault over a railing, and spill a tray of drinks all in one motion, turning clumsiness into high art. Suzanne Summers had been doing commercials and bit roles before this show made her a TV sex symbol. When the Ropers got their own spin-off show after season 3, Don Knotts, already a comedy legend from the Andy Griffith Show, joined as Ralph Furley, the flamboyant building manager. So, what's the verdict? Man About the House kept its wit sharp and ended while still strong. Three's Company took the same bones, added a ton more slapstick, and turned it into one of the most successful American sitcoms of the late 70s and early 80s. A rare case where both the British original and the US remake became classics in their own right.
Man About the House. Three's Company versus Man About the House. Three's Company used a significant portion of Man About the House's original scripts. It also created its own original episodes and had distinct characterizations and an American comedic style. Yeah, I guess the American comedic style would be more slapstick, the physical comedy. Dumber. Three's Company adapted most of the original 39 episodes from Man About the House. But because its seasons were longer, it also developed a number of original scripts to fill its 8-season run. Why did they keep him, though? I love that on Man About the House, he was a chef, and so that gave the female characters a reason to have him around. But why did they want him around in the American version? Is it the same thing? Oh yeah, he was a culinary student. Okay. And he was found passed out in the tub. Same thing. Okay. Wow. It's almost, that's a direct ripoff.
Number 5, The Ropers, based on George and Mildred, ABC.
I don't remember that. Oh, so Man About the House had a spin-off of the Landlord People, and so Three's Company did a spin-off of the Landlord People. How unoriginal.
Sometimes success breeds success, and sometimes it breeds spectacular failure. When Three's Company became a hit, ABC naturally wanted more of the Ropers. Too bad they forgot what made them work in the first place. Back in Britain, George and Mildred was proof that spin-offs could actually improve on the original. The series premiered on ITV in September of 1976, running for 5 series and 38 episodes until Christmas of 1979. Brian Murphy and Eutha Joyce reprised their roles from Man About the House, but with a brilliant twist. The British Ropers had moved up in the world. After receiving a compulsory purchase order, George and Mildred relocated to 46 Peacock Crescent in upmarket Hampton Wick. Think British suburbia, where everyone pretended their garden gnomes were artistic statements. The common gold came from watching Mildred desperately trying to better herself, while George remained his lazy, unemployed, sexually disinterested self. Their snobbish neighbor Geoffrey Formeel, a conservative voting estate agent, was constantly horrified by George's presence, especially when George started filling Geoffrey's young son Tristram's head with socialist ideas. The class warfare was delicious, the characters had room to grow, and it became such a hit that Murphy and Joyce even toured in a stage version. In March of 1979, ABC looked at George and Mildred and said, "We can do that too," and thus The Ropers was born.
Okay. That's interesting. So, the guy, George, was really progressive, I guess? And lower income? So it was like a fish out of water thing. The wife was trying to make herself better and adapt to the new surroundings, and he was kind of stuck in his ways. Okay. That's comedy.
Right away, though, you could see the problem. Where the British version had George and Mildred climbing the social ladder, the American version had Stanley, played by Norman Fell, and Helen, played by Audra Lindley, moving to Cheviot Hills after selling their apartment building.
You don't care anything about this house, do you?
It's not true. I like it. I always liked
No.
it. In fact, I would buy it right now if it wasn't sold. I mean it.
The setup was similar: a social climbing wife, an embarrassing husband, and snobbish neighbors Jeffrey and Anne Brooks, played by Jeffrey Tambor and Patricia McCormick. But the soul was different. The show started strong, finishing number 8 in its first season and earning the second highest series premiere rating at the time. Stanley and Helen's bickering was familiar comfort food for Three's Company fans, and Fell and Lindley had the chemistry down cold. But ABC made a classic network blunder. They moved it to Saturday nights for season 2, putting it head-to-head with Chips. The ratings cratered faster than Stanley's get-rich-quick schemes. By May of 1980, The Ropers was done, just 28 episodes total. The timing was brutal. The cancellation came just 1 month after the contractual deadline that would have let Fell and Lindley return to Three's Company. Fell always believed ABC deliberately waited them out, and considering Don Knotts had already replaced them as Ralph Furley and was working perfectly, there was no way back. The real tragedy for the British version was that Eutha Joyce died in August of 1980, just as the cast was supposed to start filming a 6th and final series. Her death ended George and Mildred forever, but by then it had already cemented its place as a British comedy classic. The Ropers, however, just moved the same old jokes to a fancier zip code. One was about growth and aspiration. The other was about treading water. Sometimes the difference between a classic and a flop is as simple as knowing what story you're actually trying to tell.
I think also in Britain the aristocracy thing is there. I don't remember the Ropers at all. I remember Three's Company. I don't remember the Ropers. I guess that's like, yeah, it wasn't good. That's unfortunate though.
Number 4, Stand By Your Man, based on Birds of a Feather, Fox. Some British sitcoms are so tied to their homegrown charm that remaking them for an American audience is like trying to bottle lightning, and Birds of a Feather is a perfect example. The original landed on BBC One on October 16, 1989, and quickly became a staple of British television. Over 9 years and 102 episodes in its original run, plus another 27 episodes during a 2014 to 2020 ITV revival, it told the story of two sisters, Sharon and Tracy, whose husbands got sent to prison for armed robbery. Sharon, loud, brash, and from a working-class council flat in Edmonton, moves into Tracy's comfortable Essex home. The mix was already combustible, but their nosy neighbor Dorian, decked out in leopard print, dripping in jewelry, and constantly chasing younger men, turned every episode into a delicious blend of domestic chaos and biting humor.
Well, I just hope you've had a good checkup.
Eh?
Whenever I take a new lover, I see my Harley Street gynecologist.
Must cost you a fortune in parking meters alone.
Pauline Quirk and Linda Robson's easy, lived-in chemistry made Sharon and Tracy believable as sisters who could go from bickering to having each other's back in a heartbeat. Leslie Joseph's Dorian, meanwhile, became one of Britain's most memorable sitcom characters. Glamorous, scandalous, and utterly unapologetic. The show's humor wasn't just about punchlines, it was about watching three strong personalities collide in a way that felt both outrageous and real.
We were engaged for 3 years and I was still a virgin when I got married.
Good for you.
It was only later I started going out with other men.
When Fox adapted the format in 1992, the US version, Stand By Your Man, kept the skeleton of the plot but changed everything else.
It's a good setup, right? The fish out of water thing. I love that their husbands went to prison for armed robbery. That's juicy.
Melissa Gilbert, forever remembered as Laura Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie, played Rochelle Dunphy, the Tracy equivalent, swapping Essex suburbia for Franklin Heights, New Jersey. Rosie O'Donnell, then just breaking into national fame, stepped into the Sharon role as Laureen Popowski, cranking up the volume with a brassy New Jersey edge. Miriam Flynn played Adrian Stone, the American stand-in for Dorian, recast as a status-conscious suburban neighbor who judged the sisters while having her own indiscretions, including a thing for rough biker types. The show opened with both sisters' husbands getting caught red-handed in a bank robbery, forcing the mismatched pair to live together. Rochelle, a pampered trophy wife, and Lorraine, a blue-collar troublemaker, were supposed to be an American odd couple. But where Birds of a Feather found humor in character quirks and subtle digs, Stand By Your Man went broad. The gags were louder, the banter sharper, but without the warmth that made the British version so relatable. After just 8 episodes between April 5th and May 17th of 1992, it got pulled with a couple of summer reruns quietly wrapping it up in August.
I never heard of that. I didn't know it was on. I don't think I even had Fox in those years when I was growing up.
Back in Britain, Birds of a Feather was still going strong, eventually becoming one of the rare sitcoms to make a successful comeback decades later.
I think casting Rosie O'Donnell in that part was really smart. I don't know about Melissa Gilbert, was that it?
But changed everything else. Melissa Gilbert, forever remembered as Laura Ingalls.
Right. Weird. And I don't think the American Dorian was nearly as good. Like, she needed to be more of a hoe, don't you think? That would have been funnier.
Now, let's get back to the countdown with number 3, Too Close for Comfort, based on Keep It in the Family, ABC and syndication.
We're back with a brand new season. Guess who's moving in? Hi, we're going to be inseparable.
Oh, yeah.
Some British to American remakes keep the same blueprint but completely rebuild the house, which is exactly what happened when Keep It in the Family became Too Close for Comfort. The original aired on ITV from January 7, 1980 to October 19, 1983, churning out 31 episodes over 5 series. Robert Gillespie played Dudley Rush, a talented but procrastination-prone cartoonist whose greatest passion wasn't meeting deadlines, it was micromanaging his 2 adult daughters. When Jackie and Susan persuade their parents to let them move into the basement flat of the family home, Dudley can't resist interfering in their lives, sabotaging their love lives, and generally just being the kind of dad who's both protective and exasperating. The tone was pure British domestic comedy, drier, talkier, with more verbal sparring than pratfalls. Dudley's running joke was that he drew his comic strip, Barney the Bionic Bulldog, while wearing a lion puppet on his hand, much to the frustration of his long-suffering literary agent.
That sounds familiar.
In the UK, it was a charming, low-key...
Oh! I'm remembering the American version now. Oh my god.
Ending on its own terms after just a few years. When American producers adapted it later that same year, the changes started piling up fast. Too Close for Comfort premiered on ABC on November 11th, 1980 and ran until May 5th, 1983, before continuing in first-run syndication from April 7th, 1984 through February 7th, 1987. 129 episodes in all, doubling the lifespan of the original.
Wow.
Ted Knight, after his Emmy-winning run on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, played Henry Rush, a work-at-home cartoonist in San Francisco, drawing the comic Cosmic Cow. Nancy Dussault played his wife Muriel, while Lydia Cornell and Deborah von Valkenburg starred as daughters Sarah and Jackie Rush. Like Dudley, Henry lived upstairs while his 2 grown daughters rented the downstairs apartment. Knight's Henry was warmer and goofier than his British counterpart, but the meddling dad DNA was still there. The American version also cranked up the physical comedy, added broader gags, and introduced a breakout character the British series never had. Monroe Ficus, played by Jim J. Bullock. Monroe was introduced in the 3rd episode as Sarah's classmate, but his wide-eyed, accident-prone delivery stole scenes and he was quickly made a regular. The series started strong, even hitting number 6 in its 2nd season, but then ABC moved it to Thursday nights in 1982 and, well, that pretty much killed it.
Yo, this is so weird, because I remember that show. I remember him drawing with the cow. But I haven't thought about this probably since then. Like, I was probably a baby. Maybe I saw it on reruns or something. This is weird. This is weird.
The show plummeted to number 38 and ABC canceled it, only for Metro Media to swoop in and give it a second life in syndication. Knight, who had been battling cancer, passed away in August of 1986, and the remaining episodes aired in early 1987.
They kept going?
In the UK, Keep It in the Family remains a fondly remembered, if modest, sitcom.
Wow, I totally remember Too Close for Comfort. I had no idea it was a British show. That's so crazy.
Number 2, Amanda's, based on Fawlty Towers, ABC.
Stay at first-rate hotels. First-rate hotels.
You're going to have to make the best of it, dear. You know, we tried to get into a good place.
We didn't try hard enough.
Some British sitcoms cross the Atlantic and become legends. Others crash and burn so spectacularly, you can still feel the heat decades later. And Amanda's? Well, it didn't just fail, it practically invented new ways to fail.
I never heard of it.
Fawlty Towers premiered on BBC Two in 1975, running for just 2 series, a grand total of 12 episodes, and still managed to earn the crown as one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
There was only 12 episodes? Wow. I've heard of Fawlty Towers in a lot of these videos, and I think John Cleese and his wife wrote it together, I think, but only 12 episodes. That's crazy. That's bingeable.
John Cleese and Connie Booth created a perfectly contained pressure cooker of farce set inside a dysfunctional seaside hotel in Torquay. Cleese's Basil Fawlty was the short-fused snobbish owner. Sybil, played by Prunella Scales, was the sharp-tongued wife who could cut him down with a single Basil. Booth's Polly was the voice of reason, and Manuel, played by Andrew Sachs, was the hapless waiter from Barcelona whose English was as shaky as the hotel's plumbing. The scripts were dense, literally twice as long as the average BBC comedy, and meticulously edited for razor-sharp timing. Fawlty Towers went out on a high note, inspiring everything from The Office to Father Ted, and earning a spot at the very top of the British Film Institute's list of greatest TV shows. Now, imagine taking all that, removing Basil entirely, and giving his lines to B. Arthur. That's not a setup for a sketch. That's literally what happened.
Weird.
ABC's Amanda's, sometimes called Amanda's by the Sea, premiered in February of 1983. B. Arthur played Amanda Cartwright, a widowed hotel owner running a struggling seaside property in California. Her staff included her hotel management graduate son Marty, played by Fred McCarran, spoiled daughter-in-law Arlene, played by Simone Griffith, bumbling chef Earl, played by Rick Hurst, and Aldo, played by Tony Rosato, the foreign bellhop. The setup was pure Fawlty Towers on paper, but in practice the manic pacing and tightly wound tension were gone. Without a Basil to unravel, the farce felt flat. Episodes revolved around things like impressing travel guide writers, hiding a corpse that kept reappearing in guest rooms, or wrangling a dancing chicken in the cabaret. And then there's the infamous John Cleese anecdote. He recalled meeting the producers who proudly told him, "We changed one thing. We wrote Basil out." Cleese's deadpan response? Well, that explains everything. Despite Arthur's star power and the show being her first return to TV since Maude, Amanda's lasted just 10 aired episodes before ABC pulled the plug, leaving 3 unaired.
Wow. Yeah, who could replace John Cleese? I don't know. I don't think it can be done.
Number 1, All in the Family, based on Till Death Do Us Part,
Wow.
CBS. Some sitcoms make you laugh. Some make you think. All in the Family did both, all while keeping the network censors up at night. The American classic, which aired on CBS from January 12, 1971 to April 8th of 1979, was adapted from the British sitcom Till Death Do Us Part, which had been sparking arguments and record ratings across the UK since 1965. In Britain, the show centered on Alf Garnett, a foul-mouthed working-class conservative who bickered endlessly with his socialist son-in-law. It was political, raw, and just controversial enough that even creator Johnny Spate admitted he got frustrated when viewers agreed with Alf's bigoted views instead of seeing the satire. Norman Lear saw the potential for an American version, and after 3 pilots for ABC went nowhere, CBS took a gamble on the idea. They softened Alf into Archie Bunker, played by Carol O'Connor, but not by much. Archie was still a lovable bigot, a Queens dock worker clinging to old-fashioned, often prejudiced views, married to the sweet but scatterbrained Edith, played by Jean Stapleton, with daughter Gloria, played by Sally Struthers, and her liberal husband, Mike Meathead Stivic, played by Rob Reiner, providing constant pushback. The US version didn't just keep the political and generational clashes, it doubled down on them. Over 9 seasons and 205 episodes, All in the Family tackled race, religion, feminism, war, sexuality, menopause, and even death, all inside a half-hour sitcom format. And just like its British parent series, All in the Family spawned a whole family tree of spin-offs and reboots, including Maude, Good Times, The Jeffersons, Gloria, 704 Hauser, and the direct continuation, Archie Bunker's Place. Meanwhile, across the pond, Till Death Do Us Part kept its East End grit. Warren Mitchell's Alf Garnett was more caustic, more openly racist, and had a marriage way more combative than Archie and Edith's. His wife Els, played by Dandy Nichols, wasn't just long-suffering, she gave as good as she got, calling Alf a silly moo whenever his tirades got out of hand. The Garnett's home was humbler, their financial situation rougher, and their arguments louder. Still, the core dynamic, conservative father figure locked in endless ideological battle with his younger, more progressive son-in-law, translated perfectly. Both shows used humor to force audiences to confront uncomfortable truths about prejudice, politics, and change. And both, despite being born in different countries, managed to be lightning rods for the same reason. They put the culture wars right in your living room and made you laugh while doing it. So, there you have it. 6 American TV shows that owe their existence to British originals. Which one was your favorite? Be sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and until then, this is Remember When.
Y'all be sure to go to Remember When and like and subscribe. Wow. Yeah, Archie Bunker. That was, it's considered a revolutionary TV show. I didn't realize it was British first. But it's crazy that Archie Bunker, there was so much not conspiracy, but made a lot of people angry. And this guy, the Garnett guy, the British guy, it sounds like he was even rougher. Like he was even more of a jerk. That's crazy, but really revolutionary. I think it's great when a comedy can reflect serious issues sometimes and make people laugh about it. Wow, Man About the House, okay. And the Ropers, right. Stand By Your Man. These are just 6 of them. I know there's so many. Birds of a feather. So it looks like out of the 6, we had 1, to 3 that actually were a hit. The others failed miserably. It's so crazy. Yeah, okay. Three's Company, Too Close for Comfort, and Archie Bunker. Those were the hits. I feel like, I mean, I don't know for sure, but Birds of a Feather feels like some other show that actually was successful. I can't put my finger on it, but like two people, two family members who come together to live with each other, fish out of water, crazy neighbor. I feel like that's been tried other times too, you know? It feels very familiar. Like My Two Dads, or I don't know. I feel like it's been done though. The biggest surprise for me was Too Close for Comfort was a British show. And it's so weird because I know I mentioned it, but I haven't thought of that since I was a little kid and it was on. Probably Nick at Night or something, like Nickelodeon reruns or something. The Fawlty Towers remake, they just put B. Arthur in John Cleese's role. I feel like I could have predicted that would be a failure. And Archie Bunker was British first. Crazy. Wow. This is kind of a long video, but very informative. I liked it. Thank y'all for sticking around with me. Well, y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later. Later.